Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday, and thank you for joining us for today's Capacity Procurement Mechanism Enhancements stakeholder call. Today, we'll be discussing the Track 1 Draft Final Proposal. My name is Isabella Nicosia from ISO Stakeholder Affairs, and I'll be facilitating the web conference today. I'm also joined today by our presenters, CB Hall from our policy team, along with Abdul Muhammad Ali from our Operations Engineering Services team here at the ISO. So before we get started, I have just a couple reminders. This call is being recorded. The recording is for informational and convenience purposes only, and any related transcription should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. If you need technical assistance during the meeting, please send a chat to our event producer. Her name is Michelle. The materials that we will be discussing today are available out on the initiative webpage, and you can get to that page by going to kaiso.com. You'll want to go to the Stay Informed tab, and then under that, click Policy Initiatives. That'll take you to our main initiative landing page where you can scroll down and find the CPM Enhancements initiative page, and everything will be located on that page for you. So today's agenda, in just a moment, I'll go through where we are at in the stakeholder process, and then I'll hand it over to CB and Abdul to take us through the actual draft final proposal. And then we'll wrap up today with next steps and the proposed schedule for the rest of the initiative. So here we are in the policy initiative stakeholder process. We're here under the proposal development phase at the draft final proposal and still targeting a board date in December. So with that, I will hand it over to CB and he'll kick us off.
Great. Thank you, Isabella. Good morning, everyone. Before we jump into the details here, I just want to say thank you very much for all your verbal and written feedback on the straw proposal. That really helped us shape the draft final proposal, and you'll see some of your thoughts reflected in the changes we made. And by the way, speaking of the changes that we made, if you go to the actual PDF up on our website of the draft final proposal, you can see. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see a blue line version that we included that reflects the exact changes from the straw proposal. And you'll also see a chapter that attempts to capture all your feedback and kind of our thoughts responding to your feedback. So with that, let's jump into the details. Michelle, if you don't mind. Okay, great. So we're talking about CPM enhancements, track 1. And as you all know, track 1 is comprised of 5 proposals that we have labeled 4.1 through 4.5. And so here we're looking at 4.1. And if you remember from last time, 4.1 is intended to give the ISO the ability to make midterm significant event CPM award reductions if the designated capacity has already been committed and shown to the ISO for an RA contract, RMR contract, or monthly CPM designation, which we are referring to here as other capacity commitments. And so if you remember, we already have this type of authority and flexibility for exceptional dispatch CPM. And so all we're trying to do is really apply that same logic and authority to significant event CPMs. And by doing so, what we're after is to give ourselves the ability to take advantage of uncontracted capacity in a specific calendar month, even if that capacity is not available for a full 30 days. So that's really the intent behind 4.1, just as a reminder. And now the question is, okay, so what have we done here in the draft final proposal? What changes have we made? And to answer that question, you can look at the blue font. So if you look at this second bullet here, you can see we added some language. Let's take a look. The ISO will only be allowed to make such midterm significant event CPM award reductions when the other capacity commitments are accepted before the significant event CPM award is accepted. And so what we're trying to do here is really kind of protect the integrity of the CPM award, and kind of help ensure that the designated capacity is not subsequently double sold or double committed. That's really what we're after here. And let me just use an example, I guess. Like if you're a resource scheduling coordinator and you accept a 30-day significant event CPM award starting in mid-September, what we're saying here is once you accept that award, you are not allowed to go and sell or commit that designated capacity for early October. You might think, oh yeah, I can do that because the ISO will adjust down my CPM volume. But we're saying here, no, we're not going to be allowed to do that. So that's what we're after with this bullet. And on a related note, if you look at the third bullet, we are planning to make a tariff clarification to more explicitly forbid CPM designated capacity from taking on new RA obligations that conflict with the CPM obligations. We're trying to make that more explicit in our tariff, with one exception. And the exception is that this tariff clarification will not impact the ISO's current authority to make adjustments to exceptional dispatch CPM quantities. As you all remember from last time when we talked about this, today we have the ability to adjust exceptional dispatch CPM volumes downward, and we can do that irrespective of whether the other capacity commitments are accepted before or after the ED CPM is accepted. And we don't plan to change that tariff provision. So that's kind of the exception here. And then one more note, I guess, on proposal 4.1. There was a good stakeholder question last time, I think, about CPM credits and whether proposal 4.1 might interfere with CPM credits and might drive a need for clawing back CPM credits from LFEs. And the good news and sort of short answer is that won't be a problem because CPM credits don't apply to significant event CPMs. So just wanted to flag that. And I think that's it on 4.1. Let's pause and see if there are questions on 4.1. And also we have Abdul on the line, which is great. So if you have questions, you can direct them to Abdul.
All right, looks like we have Noah in queue. Can we take his question?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yes, please.
Looks like he's muted. Maybe can he unmute himself, or operator, can you unmute him?
Hi, this is Noah Tom from Middle River Power. CB, can you go over again what you mean by new RA obligations or commitments after the CPM designation? Is it simply a new contract that is signed after, or something different?
I think what we intend here is we want to forbid basically changes in RA volumes that are formalized after the CPM designated capacity after the CPM designation has been accepted. Essentially, so that you're not we're trying to protect the integrity, I guess, of the CPM designation. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, maybe two fronts here. One is if a supplier had a contract for RA in the following month, let's say, which would change some of the megawatt value of the designation, that was entered into agreement prior to the CPM. That seems like you're okay with it, even if it's not shown as RA at the time. Does that sound right?
I think what we're saying, Noah, is when we do a significant event CPM designation, first of all, in that process, either the supplier is offering us the capacity or we're asking if they have anything available. So they should be only offering us what's not contracted, shown or not. Now, once that's done, once they offer us something and we designate it's in the system, that CPM capacity, that's locked in. That's what we're saying. Then they can't make changes to that. If it's in Sierra already, if it's shown, obviously they can't offer it, period. We can't even designate it. But if it's contracted and they offered it to us, which they shouldn't because they know it's already RA, they're planning to adjust the plans or whatever, then we won't let them make the change. So what we're saying here is only offer or accept the CPM amount that is not contracted to us. I think that's been the practice. It's already, that's how we do it, the CPMs. What we're saying here is once we designate, we're not going to make changes to the CPM designation. Unlike before that, the language was not clear, I guess. So now we clarified it. We're not touching the CPM megawatts anymore, and you won't be able to overwrite those CPM megawatts with RA. Again, the only exception is the ED CPM because we could run into a scenario where we ED a unit. It's for, if it's local reliability need, it could go for 2 months. Maybe the supplier or the showings for that second month haven't been shown yet, haven't been submitted. The supplier can accept the CPM megawatt because they're available right now, or maybe and then in the next, whatever, 15 days or whatever. But then when we tap into that second month, that's when they're going to show it as RA. They haven't shown it yet, but because it's an ED, they don't have that flexibility of saying, no, I can't do this, or they don't have the flexibility of saying my term is going to end sooner, like in 4.2. They can say, oh, I haven't shown it yet, but it's RA that month, so I have to end the term at this date under 4.2 of the proposal, allowing them to do that. So under the AD CPM, it's more ED related, really. So we're keeping that language there where we can adjust it if they show it RA afterwards.
Okay, yeah, understood. I think I'll have to look at some of the timing on this DSP offer timing and when certain things go into the ISO processes, because this generally sort of hits when an ED CPM straddles 2 different months, right? Because it's very possible to have different RA values on 2 different months. So it's probably not so much within an operating month. Second, my thinking is it seems somewhat counter to sort of the whole benefit of having RA capacity or with regards to costs. If a supplier takes on additional RA commitment, then this seems to only lower the cost of the CPM and not being spread out to all customers versus, and because it's, that particular portion is being picked up by another LLC, let's say, wouldn't that be actually beneficial for the purposes of the ISO CPM process in reducing costs?
Well, I guess, no, we don't know for sure because, the RA contract that they get could be higher. They could have shopped for a higher contract and could have been more than the CPM megawatt price, 6.31 kilowatt hour. So we don't know if it's going to be more economic, but I think what we're saying here is CPM is backstop to RA. So if we're CPMing if RA didn't give us what we need. Process timing-wise, first of all, that's why timing-wise, if CPM usually happens after the RA showings are in. It is very unlikely. I think we were looking at potential timelines. Only a year ahead is really when this could happen. But month ahead, even significant event, very unlikely where it's possible to show RA after a CPM. But even then, that's just, again, that's not right because CPM is a backstop to the RA. If there's a failure in the RA process, then we're backstopping. If we allow the people to go back and again, sell RA and then override the CPM, then really what's the point of the backstop in principle? So the only scenario where it could happen really is year ahead. Is year ahead CPM. We do it if we did a year ahead CPM. There's 12 months there. They could, theoretically, they can find a contract, negotiate it, and come and say we did it. And that's where this could just get impacted. And we're clarifying again. We don't allow this today because the intent here is that it's not right. It shouldn't be contracted. CPM shouldn't be resold as RA. But I think we're clarifying this in the tariff to make sure there's no ambiguity.
I apologize. I thought we were specifically talking about exceptional dispatch CPM for this prohibition and not year ahead system deficiencies, local deficiencies, and so forth. Is there exceptional dispatching year ahead?
No. So okay. So I thought you were talking about the prohibition of CPM, selling CPM as RA. I think that portion or that clarification applies to CPM in general. That's what we're saying here. Except for ED, we're not touching it. So for ED, we're not making any changes to the current tariff language for ED CPM. We're not touching that. Sorry, maybe I misunderstood your question.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Okay, I don't see any further questions.
Okay, great. Let's go to the next slide then. We'll go to 4.2. Okay, so 4.2, just a quick reminder. So the intent of 4.2 is to give resources the flexibility to voluntarily accept shorter term significant event CPM designations. So this proposal is actually quite similar to 4.1 in the sense that it's dealing with significant event CPMs, and the intent, like 4.1, is to really allow resources to accept mid-month significant event CPM designations, even when the designated capacity has already been committed or is unavailable in the subsequent calendar month, right? 4.1, though, works with a megawatt reduction. 4.2 works through a shorter term. But they're both kind of getting at the same type of goal. So that's the reminder on 4.2 at a high level. What have we done in the draft final proposal? Well, we've added this language here in blue font. We're saying at the discretion of the resource scheduling coordinator. So what we mean by that is the resource SC does not have to give us a specific reason for why they want a shorter term. And so we're really broadening 4.2 here with this change in language. And we're doing that intentionally because we want to be able to address planned outages. So in the straw proposal, you might remember we kind of talked about 4.2 as being specific to commitments that are not visible to the ISO. We talked about examples like commitments to counterparties outside the ISO, an RA capacity that's not shown on an ISO supply plan. So we talked about commitments that were not visible, and that was kind of what 4.2 was trying to tackle. Now we're saying 4.2 is a little bit broader than that. It can be for any reason, and that includes planned outages. So that's really what we're doing with 4.2. And this was driven by stakeholder feedback, helpful feedback on specific to planned outages. But one other note on 4.2 that came up last time was there was a question. I'm trying to remember what the question was right now. While I'm thinking about that, let me actually just pause and see if there are questions about what we're doing here with this language, this broadening of the language, and see if there are questions.
All right. Caller, your line is unmuted. Go ahead.
This is Kathleen Colbert from Vista. I have a super simple question, Phoebe. I just wanted to confirm that the decision on voluntary, like the way that you're envisioning the process is the CAISO they would like to issue a CPM designation. Do you accept it? And yes, accept. And then that is on the scheduling coordinator's decision responsibility. But then also this decision to reduce the term is something I'm now a CPM resource. I have a designation. Do I need to proactively ask the CAISO to reduce the term? Can you just unpack the very practical aspect of it for me?
Absolutely. I mean, I know that we're basically going to. Yeah, Abdul, maybe I'll just let you go for it because you've got.
Sure. Okay. So, yeah, pretty straightforward here. It's going to be they offer us or we offer them, whoever starts the process. And then let's say we say, but the second step is really the CAISO says, yeah, okay, this is something we want. We are ready to take, supplier or SC, really scheduling coordinator thing, Kathleen, specifically the scheduling coordinator. Are you going to take it? And they say, yes, we accept the offer. However, we want to modify the end date of the term to this date. So the supplier has to, or the SCL supplier, they have to tell us right at the time of them accepting the designation, or if they're offering us at the time of offering, they have to tell us right away that the term can't go for 30 days or they can't accept a 30-day term. It has to end, sooner at a specific date. So that's how. So when we do this designation, it's done. After we designate, it's locked in. If they say 15 days, we do 15 days. It's locked in. We won't change it afterwards. So they have to tell us, before we designate.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for confirming that. And can you just confirm for me also that you're not envisioning that the CAISO would say, hey, we want to give a CPM designation, but only 15 days. That the CAISO's process would be at least 30 days. The SC can ask for a reduced term. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we will always offer a minimum 30-day for a significant event, and then it's the SC discretion if they want to do something shorter.
Awesome. Thank you both. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Turn to the next caller in queue. Your line's unmuted. You may go ahead.
Hi, this is Marcy Palmstrom with Southern California Edison. I think that question, my question may have been answered with the last caller, but just to be clear, we could designate any amount of time below 30 days. Is that right? Is there any limitation if 2 days, 3 days, if we felt like that was what we could offer? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, Marcy, we didn't put a restriction on a minimum here in the policy. Obviously, we'll keep it to the CAISO's discretion to see if it's a useful kind of designation or not. But yeah, any number of days, obviously minimum one or more, you could offer it, and we can go from there.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Hey, Abdul, this is David. Can I just add a bit of clarification? So I think the resource still will have to meet the direct CPM need. So that's an important point. So let's say we have a significant event that's going to last 5 days, and we need you there we know the significant is happening. It's going to last for the next 5 days. You must be there for 5 days. If you say, no, I can only do 2 days, then you're not meeting the CPM need in the first place. So I think that's where we would get into, a problem. But yeah, let's say it's the significant event is going to last 4 days, and you say, yeah, I can be there for 4 days. It's just like at 15 days, the start of the next month, I'm already committed somewhere. That's where we say, yeah, fine, take the 15 days. So I just say that, accepting it for 2 days, first of all, you'd run into that problem. But I mean, I think we're not, I'm not sure why resources would kind of want to say, yeah, give me a CPM payment for 2 days. I mean, it seems like kind of a weird situation. Why would you say, no, only give me the money for 2 days? Like there'd have to be, I don't think we're particularly worried about a bunch of resources saying, no, just pay me for 2 days and then I'm going to leave. So yes, it's up to discretion as long as it meets the need. And we don't think that should be a problem. And then we'll see. I mean, ultimately, if it is, then, we can change it later. But yeah, we don't foresee that being particularly problematic.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I think that makes sense.
All right, moving to the next caller in queue. Caller, your line's unmuted. You may go ahead.
Hi, this is Noah from Middle River Power again. Just making sure that on the offer side, when you guys are saying the word offer, this is an offer into the CSP, right?
No. So the CSP offering process timelines, we're not touching any of that here.
No, I understand. I'm asking whether or not the offer, the initial offer goes into the CSP to which the ISO may select a significant event designation.
You mean like from a CAISO process side?
Right. Is it all outside of the CSP?
No. Okay. So we'll continue to follow the CPM, significant event CPM process. That's not going to change. Where we're obviously looking at the CSP offers first and see their, if they help us meet their reliability needs and so forth, the criteria that we have, and then if more is needed, then yeah, we and it's offered out. What's happening in the past few years. If we needed more and people offered us stuff that's outside the CSP, mostly because the deadline has passed, they send it through City, a City ticket. So yeah, I think that's what we're talking about here is really offers outside the CSP where tickets, a ticket come in and they say we want something that's, a shorter term. And what's in the CSP has already been vetted as non-RAs available for the duration of at least this month. So that process is vetted already just by the submission of the CSP. But really, what we're seeing here in the past few years, especially that, most of those offers are coming after we declare the event and they offer us in City. And that's where we're talking about here, the adjustments and all that stuff.
Okay, so here's where it's not clear, right, in the paper and in the presentation. One, you're saying that all the offers that are going to the CSP are fully vetted, but the significant event may not occur prior or right after the CSP sort of the process finishes, in which case the significant is not for 30 days, right? It may not start in the very beginning of the month. So in that case, the CSP offers are still for a full month. It's not like whether or not they're good for 15 days. Therefore, the offer, that the terminology that we've been using or in the discussion is not, are you good for 2 days? Are you good for 3 days type of thing, right?
You're talking specifically about folks who offered into CSP?
Correct. You have no idea whether or not they're good for the latter part into the next month if you were to issue a significant event CPM on the 15th day based on the CSP offers, because the initial offer from the ISO or the designation would be 30 days to begin with.
I see. So you're saying if a CSP offers in, obviously they're monthly. So let's say for this month, their CSP offer, it's for the entirety of the month. It's valid, it's fully available for the month, but maybe it's not available for next month, and they didn't bid in next month's CSP intra-monthly bids.
Right.
How do we ensure that we're not, or how do we make sure that they get this treatment of 15 days and or whatever that timeline is? That's what you're saying here, right?
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not clear. There was a lot of terminology being used on, can I offer 2 days? Can I offer 3 days? It seems like that's not exactly a offer of 2 days and 3 days, but rather it's maybe even more of a counter offer. Hey, you designated my resource on the 15th day, even though I put in for a 30-day, it started 30-day offer into the CSP. I can't actually extend into the next month. So it's not that type of situation. My recommendation is to make that process, particularly with CSP, as well as city, clearer in the, I guess, the final proposal.
Yeah. Okay. I think we'll have to think about it. I think that's a fair point. For the current months, I think they have to fulfill their offer. That's pretty straightforward. But so they can't say 2 days unless the month is ending in 2 days. Now for going to the next month, the 30 days tapping into the next month, I think that we have to think about it, how we would do it. But that's probably more of a kind of a detail of how we do actual implementation. But I see your point. It's a valid point. We'll reconvene and talk about it.
My recommendation is to work out details before we get to tariff. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
We're moving to the next caller in queue. Call, your line's unmuted. You may go ahead.
Thanks. This is Kathleen Colbert from Distra again. I'll be super brief. So I thought that was helpful, but actually made me a little confused because my questions earlier were getting at the same thing. And I thought I understood from you that you had enough content. So I just want to echo what Noah asked for to put this kind of process in the paper. The way that we talked about it you submit this, so I didn't put the CSP offer part, but I assume that it's in there for the month, it's not there for the next month. You reach out, you say we want to issue a CPM designation, and as the SC, we have the discretion to come back and say that we're requesting a reduced term, and I heard you say that as long as it meets the needs, David provided that extra context that it would be able to be likely approved for that. And if you're not willing to, or if you're asking for a reduced term less than the CPM needs, that you probably would find another resource. All of this is really helpful, practical content, and I do think it should be in the paper. And I thought I understood from your answers that we had a clear direction, so I was a little surprised you didn't provide that same guidance for Noah's question.
All right, there are no additional questions in queue.
Thanks, Kathleen. Oh, okay. No additional questions. Okay. Sorry, Michelle. Do you mind actually going back one slide? I remembered there was one other point I wanted to make about proposal 4.2. There was a stakeholder question last time, or maybe it was in the comments about, why does the ISO need to apply proposal 4.2 to exceptional dispatch CPMs, thereby allowing, shorter term exceptional dispatch CPMs? The answer to that is we're not facing any roadblocks today accessing shorter term capacity for exceptional dispatches. So whether, we can exceptionally dispatch a resource irrespective of whether that resource subsequently accepts a 30-day ED CPM. And so that's why we don't need this proposal for ED CPMs. We need it for significant event CPMs. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that didn't cause more confusion. I think we do have, I feel like we do have one question in the queue, but.
Yeah, let's go to Chris Devon.
Cole, your line's unmuted. You may go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me all right? This is Chris Devon with CS, Customized Energy Solutions, excuse me. Just on that point about the difference between the exceptional dispatch and the significant event here that you were talking about, it just raised a question for me real quickly about if there was, you know, a situation like in the example here where there was a commitment to the, you know, be an RA resource in the following month that would then subsequently, you know, block that exceptionally dispatched unit from accepting a 30-day. Could they, you know, potentially need to use something like a 15-day, like in this example? So I guess that kind of was raised from the description that you made, CB.
Hey, Chris. Sorry. I don't know if I fully understood the question. You're saying if a unit got a significant event CPM, let's say this month, and they said, and the
sorry,
an
ED. Sorry, an ED.
An ED.
Yeah, because, you know, CB was explaining why there was no need to apply this type of, you know, shorter option for the exceptional dispatch. So I just wanted to clarify for my understanding. Maybe I'm missing something, but it seems like there could be a situation where an ED unit would have another RA contract in the following month, and then would want to maybe take only 15 days or 20 days or 5 days or, you know, a shorter time frame similar to this, but then now, you know, they can't take that. So they just have to accept, they got exceptionally dispatched and then not be compensated. So that was what was the question that got raised in my mind when I heard that description. I just wanted to clarify exactly why it's not really needed, because it seems like that same situation could come up for a exceptionally dispatched unit. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was what popped up in my head when I heard that.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah. So from a timeline perspective, if we do an ED, you know, let's say this month, mid-month, and it goes to next month, if the unit is already RA, it's RA. We see it there. If it's not RA, it's too late. The RA deadline has passed. So we know already in CERA what's RA and what's not RA. So when the ED CPM happens, we already have tariff authority to adjust the ED CPM if there are changes in the RA capacity and other types of CPM or RMR. If there are adjustments to that capacity, we can make adjustments to the ED CPM. So in your scenario, they can still accept it because once the ED CPM goes to the next month, we will drop it because the unit now is fully RA. So that process we already have authority to do, and we don't need to make changes to it basically. And would cover your scenario.
That helps. That makes it much more clear to me. I just wasn't sure about that piece, and so that was just a lack of my understanding of the existing authority. Thank you. I'll stop with that. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, awesome. Let's go. Unless there are any other questions, let's go to proposal 4.3. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, so proposal 4.3. Just to remind you, this is our proposal to adjust our tariff language to allow the ISO to meet its CPM designation reporting obligations through OASIS instead of, you know, via these PDF reports that we put up on our website. And you can see an example here on the slide. So instead of posting those PDFs, we would make the data available in OASIS. The only thing we are adjusting in the draft final proposal is pretty minor, but if you look here at the blue font, we are saying we will remove the associated market notice requirement for the CPM designation report, which makes sense. If we're not posting, you know, the report PDF anymore, then we don't need a market notice to go along with it. But just to be clear, this is not, just in case I don't want to cause any confusion, this is not the market notice that we talk about in Proposal 4.4. In Proposal 4.4, we talk about a market notice that is required within 2 business days of a CPM designation. And as you know, in Proposal 4.4, we're proposing to extend that to 5 business days. So that's a different market notice. I just want to be clear. So that's, yeah, let's go to the next slide, please. Thanks, Michelle. So just to keep going here on 4.3, we actually had 5 distinct stakeholder requests related to 4.3 and our OASIS reporting. So I just want to take a few minutes to go through these requests, and all of this is explained in the draft final proposal. You can find it there in Chapter 5, but let's go through it now. So the first request was, can the ISO please reflect the midterm significant event CPM award reductions, i.e. Proposal 4.1. So for Proposal 4.1, CPM award reductions, please be reflected in OASIS. And that totally, it sounds like a reasonable request, but it's a little bit more complicated than it may seem at first glance, and we're going to just need a little more time to discuss that internally. There's some implementation implications on that one. The next one is significant event. Oh yeah, can the ISO please reflect the shorter terms, the shorter significant event CPM terms, i.e. Proposal 4.2, can those please be reflected in OASIS? And the answer is yes. So we can do that. Number 3, can the ISO please reflect CPM, resource-specific CPM final cost in OASIS? And again, that one, it sounds like a very reasonable request, but the problem is that these costs are subject to settlement adjustments, and that can take up to 24 months. And so there's kind of a whole implication there for our settlement system. And so and kind of, again, an implementation implication. And so I don't think this one's going to happen in track 1. And by the way, on some of these things, we can talk more about how, priorities and what stakeholders feel are high priorities. We'd love to get your feedback on that, relative to other priorities. But I'll keep going here. Number 4 was, can the ISO please ensure that in OASIS that CPM related information in OASIS can be pulled with multi-month date ranges? And the answer is yes. We will make sure that happens, that you don't have to pull data 1 month at a time. And then the last one was, can the ISO please upload all of the historical CPM information, CPM designation information into OASIS? That one is, again, sounds very like a normal request, but a reasonable request, but it's a little tricky because I think we're limited in CIRA by what we have in CIRA, and there's also some historical nuances that make this also not workable. And so I think our answer for now is basically no. And if we could just refer you to the PDFs that are on our website. So yeah, let me pause here for any questions on Proposal 4.3 and OASIS.
Looks like we do have a question.
Hey, CB. This is Noah from Middle River. Is the ISO able to accommodate something in between? These seem to be between like not feasible to feasible. Looking at particularly just significant event reductions and reflecting the OASIS. I think the idea is simply, can you provide, on a daily basis, what to item number 3, where the sort of the total cost essentially is just what the price was that was essentially picked up or offered times that daily quantity. For the purposes of the event, you can let the market participant essentially make that calculation, but if you provide at least that sort of granular detail, that would be helpful. And then finally, on the consolidated CPM history, is it possible to load in at least what's available in Xira? I mean, to be fair, I think the functionality is there now. It's just nothing's loaded. I thought it was supposed to be loaded.
Noah, can I ask you about the first question? I guess we're at the Kai, so when we were talking about it, we couldn't find what's the benefit here. Can you explain why it's beneficial to have that data at that level, daily data with adjustments in the CPM designation?
Sure. It provides transparency on what the ISO has utilized for capacity to meet load on a daily basis.
So total capacity, I mean, we already have that posted in today's Outlook public.
But you can't tell that from what part of it is potentially CPM and so forth. I don't think this is a huge request that provided more transparency to this.
I will tell you this: it will be. I mean, we have to estimate it and see what IT thinks, but it's not going to be a simple change. And we're trying to get all these changes before. If you remember that really the target of track 1 is we're trying to get these changes before next summer, in case significant event happens. So we have all that items that cleanup items that are important that we need to get it ready. So it's probably a significant software change because and there's other stuff too. I mean, it's not just a software issue. I mean, what we're posting today publicly on the Kaisa.com, tomorrow on Oasis, that posting is the designation report. It's what we designated, which is always 30-day static megawatt static price. That's in the designation. The adjustments have to happen after the fact. They're not the actual, the term, the designation offer that we say, but it's after the fact. Are there modifications to the RA, RMR, whatever? Are they RAIN implications that are going to change the payment? So there's a lot of things that outages, outage substitution, all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff that fall into the final, what we finally used as capacity that was actually, we used, or payments that we gave. So it's not, it doesn't necessarily match the actual designation. So even like, can we do it? We're still not sure, but I think that's what we said. We're going to look into it really more details and try to see if we can do it. Not track 1, because that's not a simple take. But that's what we're thinking. We're going to look into it if it's doable and if it's something we can actually do, not just from a systems, from a kind of a legal perspective. We'll look into it for sure. So I hope that helps.
Well, this is somewhat of a weird conversation, I guess, because it sounds almost like the ISO is saying you don't have the data in Xira once there's a designation, and that doesn't sound like it's true, because you have to have the downstream payloads to go into cyber and OMS and so on and so forth, right? Like, so the data seems to be there. It's just how to translate it and get it into Oasis is the difficult part.
Right. So we have the data.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the data. I mean, we have the data it depends on what data you're talking about. So the adjustments to the CPM due to existing RA or RMR or whatever, that data, yeah, we have that in Xira. The price, we have that in Xira. That, and then obviously as outages come in and they impact that capacity, that comes in as we go through the month. if any, substitution as they come in through the month. And then obviously the settlement data will come in after the fact, right? After the fact, the settlements are going to be, all the data is going to come in. So timeline, yes, eventually all the data is going to be somewhere in the CAISO systems, not at the time of designation, not all of it. And that's when we're posting everything, right? We're posting everything to OASIS. Today we have a 30-day lag to post. Once we move to OASIS, that's going to be automated. We're just going to do it right away, probably. We haven't talked about those timelines internally yet, but it's probably going to be much faster. There's no reason to sit on it to wait, I guess.
Is it possible to do it without the outage and just do what the designation was? With designation on a sort of reflective of roughly true daily granularity. Just throwing that out there. I just see a lot of pushback from the ISO for that. Yeah. I don't understand why exactly, but I'll thanks.
Thank you. We'll definitely look into it. I think we'll post everything we can, but we'll have to look into it, not just from feasibility. Like I said, we have to see if that from a legal perspective and all that. So, and even from a practicality, is it something? How much data can we post? Like I explained, and now you're saying, can you post some of it? Maybe, but again, we have to look into it. We don't see the urgency for this summer, so it's something we'll have to, discuss probably more going forward. Thank you.
Additional questions?
Thanks. Okay, great. Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Abdul. These last two slides here are very straightforward. We're not making any changes from the straw proposal, so I'll just quickly brief through these. Proposal 4.4, again, we're proposing to extend the market notice deadline for the CPM designations from 2 business days to 5 business days. So that's 4.4. And then the next slide, the last slide, thanks, Michelle, if you don't mind going forward one more. There we go, great. 4.5 is some changes to THERA to allow to make the resource SC contact information visible and editable, helping ensure that the CPM designation notifications are sent to the right context. So that's it on 4.4 and 4.5, no changes. So why don't we pause one more time and see if there are any final questions before I turn it back to Isabella.
Looks like we have one question from Kathleen.
It's Kathleen from Distra. Can you remind, so this notification, you're proposing that it applies to all types of CPM, is that right? Or is it just a significant in ED? Can you remind me?
So you're talking about 4.5, right?
The 5 business day change, I think applies. Yeah, that one. Is that 4.4? Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, that's 4.4.
You
want to go to this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all Kathleen, that's just all CPMs today. Once we designate, we have 2 business days to send the market notice. That's extending into 5 business days, and it applies to all CPMs, correct?
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm just thinking there, and if you can, just for sake of clarity and helping digest this, maybe think about adding this level of detail in the paper in your next iteration. But kind of what I'm thinking through is the annual CPMs are, those offers are released by January 5th of a given CPM year or annual year. So if it's offers are released by January 5th, are we kind of tracking for annual, then you're thinking about January 10th, or is it 5 business days after January 5th? For monthly, they're released by 5 days into the month. So same kind of context. Is that 5 business days after the fifth day of the month? And then for significant event and exceptional dispatches, I think it makes sense. It's once you have it's less rigid, right? So, but that could be additional information would be helpful. And I don't mean to ask for more process, but I do appreciate the detail or slight examples of the different times for this would be helpful. A last question I have for you, and it's, can you just remind me for the significant event and exceptional dispatch CPM type, when you identify a need for it, not so much the resource that you are designating, but when you identify a need to engage in a significant event or an ED, is it standard procedure to issue a market notice to notice the market that the need has been identified for those? Can you remind me of the process there?
Yeah, for significant events, yeah, I believe our process has been we issue a market notice declaring that there's a significant event and we need capacity, and we usually put there what the criteria we're looking for, the impacted months, and the reason, kind of the heat wave or whatever. So that's been our practice for significant event. For ED CPM, and we don't send a market notice ahead of time. It's just usually ED CPM is reliability need occurs, in real time, and there's a reason, there's a need to exceptional dispatch a unit outside the market to meet some reliability needs, system or non-system, which is local. So there's no heads up market notice. This is just, it happens in real time. We ED the unit to what the reliability need requires, and then if we tap into non-RA capacity, then we offer it we offer a CPM. We make a ED CPM offer for that, and then after, if it's accepted, then that's the market notice. The first market notice goes out is after the CPM is accepted. We send the market notice within 2 business days, and that's what we're changing here to 5 business days.
Yeah, no, that's helpful just to go through. So I think it would be helpful for stakeholders if you work through the annual, monthly, significant event, and ED differences on the notices. For context, I did want to make a request, but I can put this in my written comments because this seems very reasonable, except I have one concern. And that concern is that we want there to be we want there to be better transparency when there is a need for an exceptional dispatch CPM. I understand what you're saying, Abdul. You can't notice it. So there's different flavor between the significant event and the ED. For the significant event, you can provide a notice, hey, we know we have a need for this. We're going to be looking at the CSDs and identifying if we need to designate one and work through it. That adds some market transparency, and that's valuable. I think if you're going to extend the timeline here for when you notice for the EDs, just a simple notice at the time you identify in real time the ED need, just to somehow notify the market. I think that would bridge the gap between why do we need to go from 2 to 5 business days? The concerns you raised about what you need to do to check and confirm makes sense. I'm just looking for a little extra market transparency at the time the ED is identified. But I'll put that in written comments. Thanks.
Thanks, Kathleen.
No additional questions in queue.
Okay, great. Well, thanks very much, everyone. I'm going to turn it back to Isabella. We're going to look at this. I think we're going to look at the schedule.
7th, and we'll be working to get a comments template up for you for that. And then publishing draft tariff language, we're targeting November 3rd, and then the final proposal on November 8th, and then we would hold another stakeholder call a week later on both the draft tariff and final proposal. And then comments for the draft tariff would be due on the 17th of November, and then that would take us to our December 15th Board of Governors meeting for a decision. And then we'd be looking at 2023 for the FERC filing and implementation. So this slide here is just another reminder about the comments deadline and a direct link to the initiative webpage where the comments template will be posted. And then if you have any questions, you can send an email to isostakeholderaffairs@CAISO.com. And then my last reminders, if you haven't already registered for the Stakeholder Symposium, I encourage you to do so. We are holding it on November 9th and 10th this year in downtown Sacramento at the Safe Credit Union Convention Center. It is our first symposium in 4 years. Our last one was in 2018, so we are very excited to be able to hold the event again this year. And to register, you can go to CAISO.com, click Stay Informed, and then under the Stay Informed tab, you'll see Stakeholder Symposium, and that'll take you out to the symposium webpage. And on that webpage, you will also see that there are sponsorship opportunities available. So if your organization is interested in sponsoring the event, I encourage you to look into our different sponsorship options. But with that, that concludes today's stakeholder call. Thank you all for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.
That concludes our conference. Thank you for using Event Services. You may now disconnect.